You're listening to Crystal and Emily on Love Your Shelf, the best librarian podcast in the extensive and highly competitive field of librarian podcasts.
Hello.
Hello. So this is our last podcast of the year.
That's right. Good riddance. Am I right?
To 2020, I'm assuming.
Oh, yeah. No, not you guys. Or you, Crystal. Stick
Just
around,
clarify,
please.
yeah. And so because of that, I guess I am like, I don't know, overcompensating, or I got carried away. I have a lot of things to talk about today.
Yeah, no. And I'm here for the ride. So hit me.
Okay, good. Well, so first I'm going to talk about some my most recent reads. And I order nonfiction for the library. So I end up reading a lot more nonfiction than I probably would otherwise. But I'm researching stuff, and so I get, sucked in and interested.
Same with children's books for me.
And so I recently, we received a book called the Call Me Ishmael phone book. And it is brilliant. It was one of those that I wish I would have thought of it.
Yeah, no, when Crystal showed it to me, I said, this sounds like something you would come up with.
But I didn't. So instead, I had to buy it. But it's definitely worth it. And it's basically these two, I'm assuming, I know at least one of them is a writer, but two friends were talking about their favorite first lines of books, and Call Me Ishmael came up. And then they were kind of joking, like, well, what if it was Call Me Ishmael? And, what would people call in with? And it was, basically that they would call this, character through this phone number that they set up and talk about their favorite book or a book that they really loved. And so it started out just like their friends and family would call this number, and there would be a recording, and they would just, say something about their favorite books. But then it got bigger and bigger and turned into a huge project. And so now they've published a book that has the, I guess it's set up like a phone book, like a Yellow Pages, which is funny because it's been a long time since I've looked at Yellow Pages.
Yep.
And so it's definitely a throwback. And so, young people wouldn't even recognize what that format is,
Right.
But
yeah, no, regular phone books did not look as cool as this book does. They made it like they managed to make a phone book look pretty.
Yes, yeah. And so, yeah, because there's like ads in it, a lot of ads for like for the books themselves and for bookstores and things like that, just interesting places. And so basically there's just this one phone number, and you can call it and then put in a 4-digit code that you find in the phone book and listen to the recordings of people talking about their books. And it was really great. And one of them that I listened to was about The House on Mango Street by Sandra Cisneros. And that's going to be our big read book for next year. And it brought tears to my eyes. It was a young girl talking about how much of an impact that book had on her. And yeah, it was really, really good. And so I hope everybody gets a chance to read it. And even if, you can't check it out or whatever, we ought to just put up the phone number, and then people can call and
totally.
just, get random
listen to the stories.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Anyway, so
I need to go through it.
Oh, it's a lot of fun. And I'm also listening to an audiobook called I Want to Be Where the Normal People Are by Rachel Bloom. And I don't know if you've seen it, but she did a show for several seasons called Crazy Ex-Girlfriend.
Yes.
And
Yes. It's like a musical,
it's a
right?
musical, yeah.
Oh, she's the lead?
She's the lead, yeah.
Oh, she's wonderful.
She
That's great.
is,
That's
yeah.
great.
She's delightful. I mean, the show is definitely for an adult audience, but and
Uh-huh.
so is this book.
Well,
But
and I have to ask, is the title a play off of the Little Mermaid song?
of
I want to be
course,
where the people are. Okay.
yes,
I appreciate that.
and yeah, and so some of those musical numbers in that show were just
Oh my gosh.
amazing.
Yes. And like good too. There were some really catchy numbers
Oh yeah,
on that show. Yeah.
and
That's one I
so
need to revisit.
yeah, and so that's why I'm listening to this one because I wanted to have her reading it,
Mm-hmm.
and she doesn't disappoint. It's really good.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, so it's sort of a memoir, but it's she talks about, just like in the show, it deals with mental illness
Mm-hmm.
and that kind of stuff, depression, all this kind of stuff,
Mm-hmm.
but with a really funny take on it, you know.
Right.
Um,
Yeah. Oh, that's great.
yeah, so
Well, and
another recommendation.
if she provides any answers on where the normal people are, please do share.
So far, no. I have a feeling that we're not going to get that answer, but
That's all right.
I
That's all
haven't
right.
finished it yet, so maybe that's the last chapter. And then I'm also reading another funny one, Survival of the Thickest by
Yes.
Michelle Buteau.
I adore her too.
Yes, she's a hilarious comedian. Um, the book is hilarious. It's like you actually laughing out loud, kind of
Yes.
funny. Um, and yeah, and
Does
her stand up
she
is great.
I saw I bet her the audiobook of her book would be really fun to listen to.
Yes.
I saw a clip on Instagram of her recording a piece of it, and just she is just such a gem. Her personality, she shines like the brightest star.
Yes, and she is just like a really unique voice, and
Mm-hmm.
her delivery is hilarious. It's
Mm-hmm.
really good.
Oh, that's great.
um anyway, so that's where I've been. Oh, and then I also, a little more serious, I am reading The Once and Future Witches by Alex Harrow.
Mm-hmm.
And I've previously talked about another book of hers, 10,000 Doors of January. And
That's right. That's right.
yeah, and this one, both of them are tomes. They're very long, but it's good. And I'm really into it. And set in sort of an alternate universe, but it's in 1893,
Mm-hmm.
and it opens talking about opening lines. It's opens that there are no witches left, but there will be, or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's about these sisters, and um, anyway, so like witching and women's rights are sort of equated.
Yeah.
And
And we've seen that before too,
yeah,
with the witches are coming, and yeah.
exactly. So I was intrigued, and it's turning out
Mm-hmm.
to be really good. It's sort of a mysterious thriller, fantasy kind of thing.
I'm literally checking off boxes in my head.
Right.
Mystery, thriller, fantasy. That sounds
Yeah,
amazing.
exactly. Can't beat it.
Mhm.
And I haven't had great success with movies recently, but it made me think about something we'll talk about
Mhm.
later, like all of my favorite movies. So I'm going to
Mhm.
talk about some of those. But the only one that's worth discussing at all that I've seen recently is Super Intelligence with Melissa McCarthy.
Oh, is it HBO?
It's on HBO, yeah.
I almost watched it. I don't remember why I didn't. Do tell.
Well, it's basically she's identified by this artificial intelligence as like the most average person. And
We're the normal people.
exactly. So yeah. So we found the normal people. It's Melissa McCarthy. and it basically like decides that in order to like maximize its intelligence, it needs to study her. And
Okay. Yes.
yeah, and so of course she's hilarious, and it's a cute movie. It, you know, it wasn't my favorite of all time or anything,
Sure.
but it's you know, there's laughs
Some
in it.
good. That's what I was just about to say. Some good laughs in there, I'm sure.
Yes, I mean just
Cool.
her like going at the beginning of the movie, and this is in like a lot of the trailers. She's going in for an interview, and they're like in the, like a tech company, and she's just trying to sit on this
Oh
beanbag
my
chair.
gosh. I did see that.
And so,
And it makes me think of myself. So
exactly.
that would totally happen to me.
Yes, 100%. So yeah, she had me too. But I have had some luck with shows too, or instead actually. And so I've caught up on Peaky Blinders.
Oh.
And I've talked about it before, I'm sure, but I've always been a Cillian Murphy fan.
Yes.
But I just like I watched the first season of Peaky Blinders a long time ago and just didn't get into it. But I finally like sat down and said, okay, you know, I know that this is going to get good.
Yeah.
And
how many seasons are there now?
6.
Oh my gosh.
And they're short. I want to say they're only like 6 episodes a season.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And yeah, so then there's going to be another year before another season comes out. But or series, I guess they call it. But one of the things that I find really interesting about the show is that it's kind of hard to explain, but they will go through like build up to this crescendo of like a major face off or something, you know. And then in case people don't know, but Peaky Blinders is about Birmingham, England, and this like criminal family, you know, Godfather-esque, but
are they
British.
and is someone Irish on the show? Why did I think that?
Yes.
Okay.
And many of the actors are Irish as well, but yeah, but they're Birmingham or Burmese or whatever they call it.
Okay, yeah.
And anyway, so they'll build up to this crescendo, and then like have this big like battle or fight or some major event, and then it just cuts to like a year later, and it's really unusual.
Yeah, I don't always know how I feel about that.
Yeah, other shows will really like delve into the fallout of those kinds of things, and instead this show just moves right ahead, and then it's like, oh, okay, so
yeah, I was gonna say I almost prefer to kind of stretch it out, like the aftermath.
Yeah,
I don't know. I want to know the details. Like I know these characters, you know. Yeah, I want to sit in that for a while.
Yeah, it took getting used to, especially since there's so few episodes.
Right. But if it's well done, you know, I won't knock it.
And I think that's too why it takes a while to get to know the characters, because you're just kind of jumping around a little bit. But it's good. It's definitely worth it. And incidentally, that I also saw, it must have been on Netflix, I think, but it was, you know, one of the things that popped up for me to show me was World of Calm. And
what is that?
Calm is an app, like a meditation app. That I had, and so I recognized.
World of Calm.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, I can't believe I didn't mention this to you already, or because I found it too. I thought you said World of Palm first of all, and I was like, what's that about? But no, World of Calm.
Calm, yeah, as in calm, cool, and collected.
Yes, yes.
But so they have like famous people
with lovely voices,
with great voices that are narrating these like videos, and so the videos themselves are like meditative.
Yeah, and each one has a different theme, and like weirdly the horses, there was a horses one, and I loved it. I was like, wow, I never thought I'd be so, relaxed by horses. But
Yeah, there's a little bit of like an ASMR kind of thing going on.
yeah. Well, and it made me think of some of the animal ones are just kind of like, Planet Earth or something like that, but without the drama, so to speak.
Yeah.
No one's trying to eat each other or hunt each other.
Yes, because it's calm. It's the world.
Yeah, yeah. I watched it over Thanksgiving break. I watched some of them, and it did the trick.
Yeah. Well, I stopped and looked at it because Cillian Murphy does one of the episodes, and the one he does is Snow.
Mm-hmm.
And he has a great voice. Just
I liked that one a lot too. Yeah.
And his natural accent is really great. Irish accent.
Yeah, it is. Mm-hmm.
I think it speaks to the Irish in me because I'm like
that's right.
mostly Irish. I don't know. It could be other things. It could be the blue eyes. I don't know. Anyway.
Yeah, there are a lot of factors in play here.
And it's a bonus because he's talking about snow. He says crystal a lot in the.
Oh, so you can just close your eyes.
Yeah, just repeat that little phrase.
And listen to him say your name.
Exactly.
That's hilarious.
So yes, but aside from that, they are actually good. And they are meditative, and they're not. I think they're like 20 minutes each or something.
Yeah. I mean, it's a great. If you like to watch TV before bed, it's the perfect. I mean, it's made for watching TV before bed.
Yes, exactly. And then, lastly, before I start talking about my favorite movies, is another show called, and I think I've mentioned it before, the podcast, but I have mentioned it as a podcast. But Song Exploder is now a series.
Okay.
And it's How Songs Are Made. It's on Netflix.
I haven't watched it yet. Okay, cool.
Yeah, it just came out, I think. And I watched them all. Actually, there's two seasons of it.
Oh, wow.
But there are only 3 or 4 episodes in each one. Okay. So one of them is REM, Losing My Religion.
Oh my gosh.
Which, I mean, that's like, a classic for my age group. 9 Inch Nails, which was one of my, all-time favorites.
Yeah.
And so he's interviewing Trent Reznor about creating the song Hurt.
I love the idea of focusing on one song too.
Yeah, it's really,
I mean, it's one thing to learn everything about the band or even an album, but one song, I don't know, there's a lot to pick apart there.
Exactly. And it was interesting, like, REM is no longer together.
Right.
And they're all, I mean, they're not like split up and hate each other, but they're just no longer perform.
Right.
But, and so, there's like a lot of like their personal lives and, that kind of stuff that gets discussed. And Lin-Manuel Miranda does one of the episodes about Hamilton.
That's great.
Yeah. So
cool.
Anyway, really good, especially if you're, a music fan. And who isn't,
Exactly.
But yeah, so I would recommend Song Exploder.
Oh, yeah, great. I'll move that to the front of my list of things to watch.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I used to teach film studies before I became a librarian. And I'm huge film buff. I
love, by the way, to imagine having you as a professor. Like, I would love you. And I'm not just saying.
I was definitely enthusiastic about it. I don't know.
Well, and that, I think that I know that about you, and I like that about you. I think that matters if you're a professor.
I think so, but it ultimately the profession wasn't for me, but
right.
There were things about it I enjoyed. And since I haven't seen good movies lately, or not that many, I was sort of giving some recommendations for DVDs for Summer, who does our DVD ordering for the library. And I just kind of went down a rabbit hole of um, movies that I love from the 90s and the 2000s. And that's kind of,
Mm-hmm.
the era when I was like super into it. And all of my favorite movies come from that period. I don't know
Yes, I
why.
was gonna say it's a gold mine,
Yeah, there were
that
so
time
many.
period.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, like filmmaking technology went through a huge shift in that period.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's kind
Yeah.
of reflected in a lot of the ones that I really, enjoyed the most.
Well, and even things like Wes Anderson. I mean, no one, I don't think, correct me if I'm wrong. You're the professor here. um but I just feel like, I don't know, things that were stylized in that way
Mm-hmm.
really sort of, at least, and maybe I'm saying that because I was in high school and college and I was just discovering things like that. But to me, I don't know. I just, using Wes Anderson as an example, I feel like you see things all the time now that are trying to, they're probably trying to do their own thing, but they end up being similar to Wes Anderson. And so I, you know what I mean?
Yeah, there's actually a book. I haven't ordered it for the library, but I will maybe order it for myself. And I think it's called Accidental Wes Anderson.
Oh my gosh, yes, I follow the Instagram.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so
Okay,
they've
cool.
come out with a book now. And it's things that look like they're
Yes,
styled
like
like that.
places
Hmm.
where, yes, it looks like it's right out of one of his movies.
Which is, pretty fantastic.
It is. It is.
So Wes Anderson, his very first film is one of my favorite comedies, Bottle
Mm-hmm.
Rocket.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's 1996 when that came out, and just a hilarious movie. It
It
still
is.
makes me laugh out loud. I quote from it frequently, like a
Yep.
real dork. But
She does. I'm just kidding.
you're like, yeah, she does. But Royal Tenenbaums
Yeah,
is a great movie. One of my favorites.
that's on my list too.
Yeah, and it's he's so specific.
Mm-hmm.
Like his movies, his dialogue,
Yes.
you can always recognize it. And
Yes, every part of it is him.
hmm and sometimes it gets tedious. Like there were a couple of his um and I can't think of the name of it right now, but the one where they're on a train. Anyway, some of them they're not my favorites.
Nope. I can't think of it.
Yeah, but
Oh my gosh.
it's hit or miss, but
Mm-hmm.
most of the time it's good.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. And now it's gonna drive me crazy that I can't think of
Maybe it's
the name of that.
so something
Doll,
express.
yes.
I
What
don't
is
know.
the name? Okay. Anyway,
Well,
there's somebody out. If anyone is listening, I'm sure they're like yelling it.
yelling it out like, "Come on, you dummy!"
You idiots.
It will. I'm sure it'll come to us when we're talking about
Yeah.
something else, and I'll just shout it
But no,
out.
that's a good point. Yeah, about tedious is a good word
Yeah.
for just how that could easily come off.
Yes. And so, but still, I will always check out even the one that he did recently, Isle of Dogs. Like
Yep.
I was not
I
sure
went to
about
see it
that.
in theaters and
Yeah,
I
I did too, actually.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
I
and
don't know.
even if it's a subpar movie, I'm still going to enjoy it because, I like the way it looks, I like the way it sounds.
Yeah.
I'm already a fan of his, so, I'll most likely enjoy something.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely. Um. Yeah. So that time period, maybe I don't know. Maybe the like turn of the century was really inspiring for people or something. Like,
Right. Yeah, maybe.
but
I guess
some
that.
of my other favorites are Christopher Nolan. So almost anything he does, but
Hmm.
Memento is one of my favorite movies of all
Yes.
time. And
Yes.
I can't watch. It's been a few years since I've seen it, but you can't watch that movie enough times. There's always something new
That you
that you.
miss. And
Mm-hmm.
it's been long enough since I've seen it that it would almost be like watching it for the first time, I think. Like
Mm-hmm.
I would remember, broad I know the storyline and all of that, but it is a great movie.
It's great. Yeah. And that kind of like memory, sort of introspective, like that's the kind of a
Mm-hmm.
theme for my favorite movies and from movies from that era too, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because, we start going down the list of those. Another of my
Just that
favorites.
idea of like what's real and what's not.
Yeah. So, and
Yeah.
of course, Nolan is famous for that, like Inception and
Mm-hmm.
The Prestige,
Mm-hmm.
Interstellar. All of those are some of my
Mm-hmm.
favorites. Those the last couple are um, more recent than some of the other
Mm-hmm.
ones, but it's definitely like his style that I like. And another who I haven't seen much come from him recently, Michel Gondry, who did Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind,
Mm-hmm.
which is, yeah, another of my favorites. It's just,
Yeah. And another one of those what's real and what's not
yeah, and it
kind of.
literally
Yeah.
takes place inside the brain of
Yep.
yeah, and yeah, just really cool. And his style is another one that's almost like you can pick it out because some of his other movies, it has just kind of like a handmade kind of style that where
Right.
he's not using all of the technology tricks that are available, but he does
Mm-hmm.
it like in an old fashioned way that,
Yeah.
like using, like distorting perspective,
Mm-hmm.
like in that film, he's got Jim Carrey, like as an adult, but he's a baby, so he's
Oh,
small.
he's himself as a baby.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, yes.
And
And
so he's under
hiding
the
under the
table.
table.
Yeah. And it's all done with the just like the perspective and the like furniture being big and just stuff like that.
Yeah.
Um,
Pulling on your mom's skirt, like being, knee level.
exactly. That's just a brilliant movie,
It
and
is. And it's another one too. You can watch it forever
oh yeah,
and find something new or,
always, yeah, always new details, and you're like, oh, that completely changes it. In fact, there's a
mm-hmm,
little like if you run the, I'm not going to give anything away if somebody hasn't seen it, but
mm-hmm.
um, at the end, if you like let it, like if you're watching it as the credits are going, there's just a couple of like little details that just changes
What?
what, like the whole
Oh
thing.
my. Okay. Well, after this, I'm going to need you to tell me about that.
Yeah, yeah, it's anyway, it's definitely a watch
Cool.
it. And now that
Yeah.
we're talking about all these, I am
Mm-hmm.
gonna totally
Binge.
binge them.
Mm-hmm.
And
I know. I want to too.
anybody can, because we ordered all of these for DVDs that you can come check out
Yep.
at the library. So maybe we'll have a little, I don't know, discussion of
Yeah.
90s movies party or something.
Yeah. Ooh.
And they're not actually 90s. It's like right after 2000, I guess, mostly.
Yeah. Yeah. Because for a lot of those, I was in high school.
Yeah,
So 2004 to 8, 9, 10 ish.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so another one from that 2001 actually is Donnie Darko.
Mm-hmm.
And I
That's on
remember,
my list too.
yeah, I caught it. I didn't watch it when it was in the movie theater, but I did. I caught it on television. It was like one of those things where I was like in the kitchen and
Mm-hmm.
doing something else, and I'd look up and there's that rabbit character, and
Oh,
it just had
the creepiest.
so creepy. And I was like, I stopped what I was doing and went and paid full attention to what was
Mm-hmm.
going on. And that director, Richard Kelly, um, just has not had the
Ah,
follow up that I was really hoping for.
yeah.
Although a few years later, he made the movie called Southland Tales. Oh, probably a lot of people have not seen that.
Mm-hmm.
Did not do well, I'm pretty sure. And
Man, yeah, I don't, that doesn't even sound familiar.
yeah, it is wild. Like, I can't even explain. It's definitely an alternate universe, and
Uh,
there's a line in it that's just one of the most wackadoo. Something about, what do you do when you find a crack in the space time continuum? You fire monkeys into it. It's just like,
oh, Oh,
Okay.
that kind of movie. All
Yes.
right, all right.
It's way over the top. But Donnie
Totally.
Darko is genius.
Yes, it is. I remember watching it with a group of friends when I was in high school over at my house. And the next day, my friend had left the DVD at my house. And the next day, I watched it again by
Mm-hmm.
myself.
Yeah.
It was one of those. Yeah.
And funnily enough, another one is another by another director who has kind of hit or miss after that. But the movie Primer came out in 2004, and it's the director Shane Carruth, and the tagline for that movie is "Like Donnie Darko but for adults." And I don't know if I agree with that sentiment exactly, but Donnie
Really?
Darko is definitely for adults.
Yeah,
Although
I
I
was
mean,
gonna
it's
say, like, how crazy does that one get? Because
yeah,
I haven't seen Primer.
yeah, it is a super indie movie that
Oh.
I think I was telling you the other day that I think it was made for like $7,000, which
Oh,
is
yes, that's right.
yeah, like very very low cost movie, but it doesn't
Shot on
necessarily.
your flip phone. I'm just kidding.
You're right. It doesn't look like it, but it's
I mean, that is a pretty impressive feat. I'll, that alone makes me want to watch the movie, you know?
oh yeah, yeah. It's about time travel, of course,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and so it's like that theme
Hence
from
yeah,
yeah,
the tear and throwing monkeys into
and
it,
the Donnie
of course.
Darko and everything, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And but it's like these guys, these friends build a time machine in their garage, like in their off time,
Mm-hmm.
and it's really good. It's a very moody and kind of a brain bender kind of it. It's really smart for one thing. It's because
Okay.
they don't have special effects, don't have a huge cast. It's just like
Yeah.
they did the like taking those things and turning them into something that works for the film, like it works as a
Right.
positive. Um, really, really, really great. And
Yeah.
then a
Wow.
few years ago, he made another movie called Upstream Color, and
I don't know that one either.
yeah, it just he never really took off, but we should make him have a whole new like we need we need everybody to get behind Shane Carruth so he'll make more
Okay. Okay.
movies.
Campaign,
Right.
bring him back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he acts in the first one, but then there's not in the Upstream Color, and it's
Okay.
hard to describe, but it's real trippy. It's this a woman is exposed to this plant that uh, like gets inside her, and anyway,
Mm-hmm.
you just have to kind of watch it, and because
Okay.
it's more of like the same thing with Primer. It's more of like the feeling of it and how it's shot and like the
Right.
emotions of the characters and stuff rather than
Okay.
like
Showy.
big, yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
which is a like turning the whole like time travel sci-fi thing on its ear, because that's
Mm-hmm.
what all the other movies do is they make it into these big, you know
Exactly. This huge production. Yeah.
yeah, which like
Which it can be great.
yeah, like
I
Christopher
think,
Nolan,
yeah, I was
and
going to say Inception.
yeah.
That was, in fact, real quick sidebar. I watched Inception not that long ago, and I had forgotten just how great and fun it is. But there's a scene where Joseph Gordon-Levitt is like wherever the place that he is sort of collapsing,
Yeah, it's like at
and
a
so the
hotel,
room
right?
that
Yeah.
yeah, so like the hallway is like moving, and
Mm-hmm.
so he's having to run sort of up the walls and on the ceiling as the room is turning. And apparently that was, they actually built that space. And yeah, no, it made me sort of watch that scene in a whole new light.
Oh yeah, yeah. There's a lot of that stuff, like that the making of some of those movies, like The Matrix. I mean, that's one of the most
Mm-hmm.
famous, like how they made that. Um,
Oh,
the bullet time or whatever. Like they
yeah.
invented stuff to make that movie work.
Yeah, no kidding.
And we all take that for granted now because, everybody uses that
Yes,
stuff.
exactly. Ugh, so true.
Another one that uses like a new kind of technology was A Scanner Darkly by Richard Linklater. And so that one is it has the actors like Keanu Reeves and
his people.
But then they're animated over that. So it's this thing called rotoscoping.
Yeah, do they look, it almost looks real, but not, okay, this is a terrible way to describe it.
Well, you can tell it's those people, but they are
right, like
animated.
when they're filming it, they're just acting. They're doing their thing, right? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, there was a movie on Amazon Prime. I don't remember the name of it, but I have seen that, and it's really, I'm going to say interesting, because that's sort of a neutral, it's a neutral place. Because, I don't love it, but I don't hate it. I think it's interesting.
Yeah, he did another film like that I didn't like very much. So it was definitely the content. Like it fit with A Scanner Darkly, which is a sci-fi thing.
Right.
It works, I think.
Right.
But yeah, you wouldn't want to just, do everything with that.
Do it for fun. Yeah, totally.
Let's see. Oh, and then another, big one from that time is Darren Aronofsky, who started out with the movie Pi, which was another one of those like low budget indie movies that he really made his name with that film, and then went on to make a number of others that were critically acclaimed. But one that I really like is The Fountain, and Hugh Jackman is the main character in that, or one of the he has a love interest as well, his wife, but whose name I can't recall, but
seems about right.
Yeah,
I'm just kidding.
It's another. Yeah, there's a trend here. That's a theme.
That's right.
But it's about this couple and their relationship, but it's also like about the universe and how it all connects together, and it really reaches, and I think it turns interesting.
Yeah. Did you say that, I can't remember, one of these we were talking about and you said it was life-changing in a way? Was it this one?
The movie Pi.
Pi. Okay. Yes.
One.
Okay. Yeah. Got it.
And I don't want to, overstate that, but it was definitely, that one came out in 1998. And so it was when I was, deciding what I was going to do with my life. And I was really discovering my interest in film, and that one was a real wow.
Man. Yeah. I'll watch it. Maybe I'll know my purpose after I watch it.
Yeah, no, it's really good, and it's like shot in black and white, and so it's mostly takes place inside of this guy's apartment, and anyway, I don't want to tell too much about it, but it's about a mathematician who is trying to understand the universe, basically. So that's not a big...
And I love how vague that is, because I already know it's going to be a wild ride.
Yes. Yeah, there's bad guys. Like
there are bad guys, there are good guys. Sometimes they're happy, sometimes they're mad.
And how can you describe every movie ever made? So,
in 5 sentences.
Yeah. So I don't know. I don't want to try to get into describing it any further. So I'm gonna stick with the vagueness on that one.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. I think that I want to be surprised.
Yes, definitely. And that was I think that to me too, in that era, well, and before, movies were more like a magical thing. We didn't have anything that we streamed. You had to go to the movie theater.
It was a big deal.
And it was,
if you missed it in theaters, you had to wait until it showed up at Blockbuster or Hastings.
Yeah. And
And I
then,
would pay the $5 or $6 for the new movie
hmm
rentals.
yeah, yeah, for sure. And it did. A lot of them, especially movies like Pi and Donnie Darko, and Primer,
Hmm.
those weren't seen by everybody, and
Right.
so it felt like you were discovering something,
Yeah, yeah.
and you like you'd have to tell other people, and I should
Hmm.
have worked in a movie rental place when I was that age, because
Oh my
I would
gosh,
have
you would have
been that.
had so many
Yeah,
recommendations.
I would have been that nerd. But but yeah, so I think that kind of helped shape my impression of some of these. But
I agree.
let's see what else. Oh, there's another one. There's a movie that came out in 1998 as well called Dark City,
Hmm.
and it's like real sci-fi. And at the time, I'm sure it's been surpassed, but at the time, it was like set a record for the the length of the shots was so
Oh,
short that it was like, I don't know, the average shot length for that movie was like 2 seconds or something crazy.
what?
Yeah, and you feel it when you're
I was
watching it.
about to say, any motion sickness?
Right. And it's maybe not 2 seconds, but it's very short.
Yeah, no,
And
yeah. Mhm.
that became kind of a trend after that. Like, so now you probably wouldn't even notice it, but at the time
Yeah,
it was
just
like,
fast paced
mm-hmm.
and yeah,
uh,
man.
yeah. So that one, not my favorite, but it it's definitely worth watching. Just,
Sure.
I mean, it's good. It's just, I don't know.
I'm gonna
It's a
I'm gonna time all of the takes.
well, and that was too like that was one of those that I was starting to notice that stuff, because I was so
Right.
into it that I was thinking about how the
The
film creators were,
production,
yeah,
sure.
how they were making it and why they were making those decisions, and
Right.
yeah. And then there are a couple of other ones that I was saying that I've been looking for copies so that we could have them in the library, and I can't find them, or they're so expensive. And there's the movie Strange Days, which is from 1995, directed
Yeah, I don't know
by
that one.
Catherine Bigelow, and it's really good. It's like set at the like um, turn of the century, like so it's a little bit into the future for
Hmm.
that production, and it's Ralph Fiennes and Angela Bassett, and it's another one that's hard to describe, but it's basically people have these headsets, um, where they can like live. Anyway, Ralph Fiennes' character uses the headsets to watch like memories of his wife who's passed away. And
Oh.
anyway, but
So
then it
is
turns
it
into a big.
things from your brain specifically?
But you can also watch
Okay.
other people's.
Whoa, I
Yeah.
don't know if I want that.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, that's where the sci-fi part comes in,
Oh,
is how all that
wow.
stuff works. And then there's like elements of it that are illegal, and
Hmm.
anyway, yeah. So it's really good. I'm hoping that I can find it.
I
Um,
just can't believe that we're already at the point where, DVDs are hard to find,
I
certain
know,
ones.
I know.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, no, they're gonna go away, but
Yep,
it's just a matter
it's
of time.
happening.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And then another one is also kind of like that, because it's like takes place inside of a game that's all virtual reality,
Oh,
and that's
cool.
eXistenZ, which is
Hmm.
David Cronenberg,
Hmm.
and Jude Law is the main character in that, and he's kind of, it's another, follows with that theme of um, what's real, what's reality, but
Right.
takes it into like a game dimension,
Cool.
and
I
so
love I love that theme, a game theme,
yeah.
where you're a person and you're stuck in this situation either by choice or by force and you got to get out of it.
hmm Yeah, it's really good. And like growing up, that was the other thing is like my Generation X, I guess, is
Mm-hmm.
grew up on gaming more than, we were the first generation to like grow up with,
Right.
Nintendos and all the
Mm-hmm.
things that came before that. Because I mean, as a kid, I remember we had like oh, now I can't even think of what they're called. And here we go. I really don't. I need to watch more movies about memory or something. I don't know because I can't remember.
Oh no, it's the worst for me. I'm with you.
But like the pre-Nintendo game
Yeah,
cartridge things that the console things that you
right.
could get, we had that stuff. And I think that really impacts, like, and at least I know it impacts the things that I choose to watch, but I think it does the things that get made, because they are
Yeah,
about that kind of reality,
yeah,
and we would play
yeah.
them even just like Super Mario, when like the very first one, where you would dream about it. You would
Right.
dream that you're in like this 2D world and that you're jumping and
Yeah. Oh, that's so funny.
because you're just like immersed. And now, like the other day, I got to put on an Oculus and you
Oh my
are
gosh, yeah.
very much immersed. In fact, like taking it off was one of the weirder experiences.
Oh my gosh, I bet.
That's just like boom, you're like suddenly in your different reality,
Like
and you're dizzy.
stepping off of a treadmill, but worse
Yeah,
is what
but
I
for
would
your brain.
imagine. Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
And there, I mean, it's super cool, but it is definitely an
Yeah,
experience.
an experience. That's what I was gonna say. Yeah, I want to try it. I got way too excited when you told me that you had.
In fact, that's probably what we're gonna do for over our Christmas break, is just play games with that.
Please take videos or have someone take them of you.
Yeah, my sister, like, I was over at her house, and went out into the backyard, and I was in there, and David, my nephew, was getting me all like kitted up and put all the things on, and she took a picture through the window of me standing there with this thing on. It has like the handset things that you have, and
Uh-huh.
anyway, yeah,
Doing crazy
it was
things.
just ridiculous. Yeah.
I love it.
But yeah, no, I don't know. I'll probably stop there. I've probably gone on too long about it, but I love the movies from that era, and they are.
I I mean, when we sort of briefly touched on some of these yesterday, it just really put me in the mood for that kind of mind bendy entertainment.
Yeah, yeah. It's just and I was saying too. I sound like an old fogey, I guess, but they just don't
Mm-hmm.
make them like they used to.
Right, right, right. Exactly.
Because there's really, I just haven't been that much of a movie fan, and I think too, we've talked about before that there has been such a shift to series, like television series,
Yes,
um,
yes.
and so a lot of that creative energy that people have, the best people that are working are making
Mm-hmm.
series rather than
Yeah.
a 2 hour movie.
Yeah, no, television is, I don't know, it's more prestigious than it used to be.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like actors used to, they were trying to be in movies, even, in the time that we're talking about, the 90s, early 2000s.
Yeah,
If you were an actor, you wanted to be in the movies. And I feel like TV was kind of seen as like second rate a little bit.
absolutely. Yeah, it totally
And
was.
that's,
I mean,
yeah,
Meryl
absolutely
Streep is in
changed.
several things that are streaming right now. It's like,
Yeah, exactly.
and of course, in this past year, movies have changed even more again because
Yep. Oh
they're
man,
having to
yep.
be released on the small screen, even.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how things change, and things like 3D and a lot of things
Yeah.
like that, like high definition, all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Funnily to me, like that didn't really catch on. Like it wasn't the kind of technology. It's like, well, now every movie's going
Right?
to be like this.
Yeah, no, that's very true. They'll offer movies in 3D, but
Hmm.
I never opt for that.
No, I've only seen like two movies in a theater with.
Me too.
I didn't really enjoy it that much, but
no. And you know, it was early days for sure whenever
yeah.
I experienced that. So, you know,
Yeah.
who knows what's in store, but I agree. I kind of thought it was going to be the new thing.
Mm-hmm. But, you know, we like them the way they were.
Yep.
Well,
can't go wrong.
Yes, I actually am going to stop talking now.
No, thank you. We'll have a short break next week, and
Yeah.
I'm going to need things to watch.
Yeah. And then the podcast is going to take a break for a couple of weeks for the holidays.
Crystal said that she wouldn't contact me on Christmas Day to record because normally we do on Fridays, and I was cracking up at that idea.
I may call you just to make you freak out, and then say, never mind.
I'm like, oh no, she changed her mind.
No, we are going to take a break. I promise. And then we'll be back after the first of the year, and maybe we'll have seen and done cool stuff in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, so many experiences to be had.
All right. Well, thank you for listening.
Yeah. Happy New Year, everyone. Merry Christmas. Happy holidays.
And goodbye, 2020.
Goodbye.
Afraid you missed one of our scintillating selections? Check out wakelet.com and you'll find a collection of all of the titles that we have mentioned on our podcast.